Greetings! Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh! On this EDUFEST 2021 storytelling contest,
we are going to tell you a true story about a hero and her dream, which is entitled
Mrs. Fatmawati and the Sacred Red and White Heirloom Flag. Please enjoy. The honorable judge and viewers.
This is a story about a great woman who is one of the Indonesia's heroes. A woman with big dreams, and she knew that with all the persistence of the people of her country, those dreams would come true. A woman who had great faith in her nation and wanted to join the fight in any way she could. And if anyone doubts that the woman had also a big role in the proclamation of Indonesian independence, then it is best to sit back and listen carefully to this story.
In 1944, Japan promised independence to Indonesia. The red and white flag was permitted to be hoisted and the song Indonesia Raya could be played throughout the archipelago. And knowing this, Mrs. Fatmawati immediately realized that sooner or later, Indonesia would need a national flag. Now, hold on there, ladies and gentlemen. Who is Mrs. Fatmawati? Mrs. Fatmawati is Mr. Sukarno's wife. And as you know, Mr. Sukarno was the proclaimer and the first president of our country. So, Mrs. Fatmawati is Indonesia's first lady in the story.
One day, Mrs. Fatmawati called a young man named Khairul Basri. Khairul, I want you to go to meet a Japanese official named Mr. Shimizu. I am certain that he will be able to help me find the red and white cloth, said Mrs. Fatmawati. It is my pleasure, ma'am, replied Khairul Basri. He went to Mr. Shimizu's office immediately.
Mr. Shimizu was a person appointed by the Japanese government as an intermediary in 1943 Japan-Indonesian negotiation. Wait a minute, I'll ask someone to go to our warehouse at the gate of honor and get 2 rolls of cloth that Mrs. Fatmawati asked for, said Mr. Shimizu when Khairul told him Mrs. Fatmawati's request. And he was right. Mr. Shimizu was willing to help. The red and white cloth needed by Mrs. Fatmawati was soon obtained.
Mrs. Fatmawati accepted the 2 rolls of cloth excitedly because she was pregnant with Guntur Soekarnoputra. The doctor forbade her to sew using a sewing machine because it would use her feet a lot and it would be dangerous for her pregnancy. I would be very proud to sew this nation's first flag with my own hands. My tears fall on this flag as my prayer for the independence of Indonesia that I dream of, said Mrs. Fatmawati to herself.
The following year, once in a lovely Ramadan afternoon, a few hours before the proclamation of independence ceremony, Mr. Sukarno and Mrs. Fatmawati sat together in their house and had a very thoughtful conversation. A conversation that means a lot to our country's history.
How's the result of the proclamation manuscript, sir? Asked Mrs. Fatmawati.
Alhamdulillah, it went well, said Mr. Sukarno.
How's the ceremony going to be held? Was it planned already? Asked Mrs. Fatmawati again.
We will conduct a flag ceremony tomorrow morning and it will be accompanied by Supratman's Indonesia Raya song, replied Mr. Sukarno.
Mrs. Fatmawati suddenly remembered about 1.5 years ago, Mr. Shimizu gave her 2 rolls of red and white cloth as a present. Although she did not know when Indonesian independence would be announced, she had sewn a flag using those clothes, because she was sure that one day Indonesia will gain its independence and need a national flag. Mrs. Fatmawati took the flag from a box and handed it to Mr. Sukarno. This is our national flag, sir. I call it the Sacred Red and White Heirloom Flag.
It's magnificent, Mr. Sukarno replied. It's our heirloom flag. The color is red and white. Red stands for bravery and white stands for purity. So, the Sacred Red and White Heirloom Flag would be the perfect name. There came the time of the Indonesia's independence proclamation ceremony. The ceremony was held in the yard of Mr. Sukarno's house, Pegangsaan Timur Street, number 56. It was very quiet but full of spirit. Mr. Sukarno read out the proclamation text with a steady and a clear voice.
Then, the flag raisers entered the ceremony field. One of the flag raisers was also a woman named Trimuti. Hiduplah Indonesia Raya. All the attendants sang along the national anthem together while the sacred red and white AKIRA flag was being raised for the first time. The echoes broadcast throughout the country for the first time, from Sabang to Merauke.
Mrs. Fatmawati looked at the fluttered flag with tears of pride and compassion. Thousands of soldiers and innocent people have died during hundreds of years Indonesia was colonized. And finally, on that day, Indonesia succeeded to announce its independence with the national flag soon by her waving in the sky.
What a dream came true, right? The honorable judge and viewers, has everyone out there learned a moral lesson from the story? Absolutely! The moral lesson of the story was about the involvement of a first lady in her nation's history. The ceremony of the proclamation maybe happened briefly, but it has changed many aspects of our country. Mrs. Fatmawati's belief in the future of Indonesia had a big impact to the history.
Because of her big dream for a country, Mrs. Fatmawati was concerned about Indonesia's independence even though she herself was overwhelmed with her pregnancy. A big dream that led to success of the proclamation of independence ceremony and the raising of our national flag for the first time.
Mrs. Fatmawati was named a national hero in 2000, 20 years after her death. It was based on Presidential Decree number 118, 2000.
From the story, we have learned that we don't have to be a Superman or one of those Avengers guy for becoming a hero.
Every time, everywhere, as long as you care for others and concern about your surroundings, you can be a hero. That was all our storytelling video.
We hope you have learned something here. Wassalamualaikum.